Emeka was the kind of man whose smile could warm a cold room. Born in a small Nigerian town, he grew up with little but learned early the value of family. At 29, with a modest job at a construction company, he had already made a name for himself among neighbors, a man who would do anything for his wife and 2 daughters. Every evening, after long days on dusty building sites, he came home with sweets in his pocket. Mina, 6 years old, always leapt into his arms first, her plates bouncing, her laughter ringing like a bell. Jane, older at 9, more composed and thoughtful, would pretend not to care, but the twinkle in her eyes betrayed her joy. And then there was Ada, his wife. Beautiful, slender, with an elegance that made people whisper in admiration. He adored her. Many nights he walked home from work clutching a prize, a necklace from the market, a new wrapper, or sometimes just roasted groundnuts wrapped in newspaper. "For you, Ada," he'd say, his voice carrying that earnest love. She would smile, kiss him softly, and the children would giggle at the scene. Life wasn't rich, but it was theirs. The family ate together, prayed together, and danced on weekends when music spilled from neighbors' radios. Emeka's dream was simple: give his daughters the education he never had, keep Ada happy, and hold his family steady like the foundation of a house. But life, cruel in its timing, often strips away what we hold dear. The company where Emeka worked shut down suddenly. A government project collapsed, money dried up, and workers were dismissed without benefits. Emeka stood outside the gates one hot afternoon, his termination letter damp with sweat. He thought of Ada's smile, Mina's shoes that were too tight, Jane's school fees due next week. The ground beneath him seemed to dissolve. At first, he tried to hide it. He woke early, dressed as if going to work, and roamed the town searching for odd jobs. But jobs were scarce, and shame gnawed at him. Ada noticed the change. Her voice, once soft, grew sharp. "How long will we keep eating promises, Emeka? Children need food, not excuses." He pleaded, "Ada, give me time. I will find something. You know I've never failed this family." But Ada's patience thinned. Nights stretched with arguments. She longed for the security she once had, for dresses her friends flaunted, for a life free of counting coins. Emeka's heart cracked as he watched her pack her clothes one morning. "Please," he begged, kneeling, tears streaming. "Don't leave me. Don't leave Mina and Jane. We are your family." Her eyes shimmered with conflict, but resolve hardened them. "I cannot suffer like this, Emeka. I deserve more." And she walked away, leaving him broken with 2 bewildered daughters clinging to his knees. The months that followed were brutal. Emeka sold nearly everything of value, the television, Ada's jewelry, even his prized radio, to keep food on the table. He worked as a carpenter's assistant, then as a motorcycle rider, ferrying passengers through traffic. His hands blistered, his back ached, but his spirit refused to bow. Mina once asked through tears, "Daddy, is mommy coming back?" He swallowed hard, forcing strength into his voice. "Mommy loves you in her own way. But we must be strong for each other now. I promise, I will never leave you." Nights were hardest. When the children slept, Emeka would sit alone, staring into the darkness, silent tears carving lines down his face. But by morning, he wore a smile again, braiding Mina's hair awkwardly, ironing Jane's school uniform with meticulous care. His sacrifices became the soil in which his daughters grew. Jane excelled in school, often staying late to study under streetlights when power failed. Mina, though younger, showed talent in drawing, filling scraps of paper with colorful dreams. Teachers marveled at their dedication, whispering about the father who refused to give up. Years rolled by, harsh but steady. Emeka aged faster than his peers, his hair graying at the temples, but pride swelled in his chest as he watched his daughters blossom. Jane won a scholarship to secondary school. Mina's drawings caught the attention of an art teacher who encouraged exhibitions. Their successes were small sparks that lit Emeka's weary nights with hope. At Jane's graduation, she stood before the crowd as the best student, her voice trembling. "All I am today is because of my father. He worked when he had nothing, gave when he had little, and loved when love was all we had. Daddy, this is for you." The crowd clapped. Emeka wept openly, unashamed, his calloused hands clapping louder than anyone else. Mina sketched that moment later, her father's tears drawn like rivers of strength. One evening, many years later, a knock echoed at the door. Emeka, older now, opened it, and froze. There stood Ada. Time had softened her beauty, but her eyes were the same. She wore expensive clothes, her perfume heavy. Behind her, a sleek car idled. Emeka, she said softly, almost ashamed. I made mistakes. Life didn't give me what I expected. I want to see Mina and Jane. Emeka's heart thundered. Memories of betrayal surged, but before he could speak, Mina, now a young woman, stepped forward. Jane followed, her posture confident, her eyes fierce. Mother. Mina whispered. Ada reached for them, but Jane blocked her path. You left us when we needed you most. Do you know who bought our school books? Who skipped meals so we could eat? Who cried silently at night so we could sleep in peace? It was Daddy. He is both father and mother. You don't get to come back now because we are successful. Ada's lips trembled. Tears streaked her cheeks. But Mina held Jane's hand and added gently, we don't hate you, Mama. But our home is with Daddy. Ada staggered back, wounded by truth sharper than knives. She turned, entered her car, and drove away into the night. Emeka stood silent, emotions clashing within him. Relief, sorrow, and pride intertwined. His daughters had spoken with voices stronger than his own. Years later, Mina became a renowned artist, her exhibitions celebrated worldwide. Jane became a lawyer, known for defending the voiceless. At every stage, they returned to their father's small but warm home, bringing gifts, laughter, and love. Emeka never remarried. His heart was too full of his daughters to seek another. His joy was in watching them flourish, in sitting on his veranda as Mina painted and Jane told stories of court victories. One evening, during a family dinner, Jane raised a toast. To Daddy, the man who taught us that love is not spoken, but lived. The man who showed us that even in pain, there can be strength. We are who we are because of you. They clinked glasses. Mina slid across a painting she had finished, a portrait of Emeka, smiling, surrounded by two radiant daughters. Beneath it, she wrote, "The weight of love." Tears welled in Emeka's eyes, but this time they were tears of fulfillment. The road had been bitter, but the harvest was sweet. In his old age, Emeka often sat under the mango tree in the yard, watching his grandchildren play. Mina and Jane visited often, their lives busy but their hearts tethered to him. He told stories of their childhood, of struggles and joys, and the children listened wide-eyed. Sometimes, when the wind rustled the leaves, he thought of Ada. He wondered if she regretted living, if she ever imagined what she lost. But he no longer carried anger. His heart was too full of love, his life too blessed by the very children she abandoned. When Emeka's time finally came, he left quietly in his sleep, a soft smile on his face. Mina and Jane buried him beside the mango tree, the grave adorned with flowers and one of Mina's paintings. And though his body lay still, his story lived on, in every courtroom Jane conquered, in every canvas Mina painted, in every heartbeat of the family he had fought so hard to keep.